Welcome to the Take the North podcast, postgame edition. I'm David Haugh on the Mully and Haugh Show. Dan Wiederer from the Chicago Tribune. Hours after the Bears' 19-13 loss to the Minnesota Vikings at Soldier Field, another game the Bears could have won. Another game the Bears, you could argue, should have won. Another game, Dan, that the Bears didn't win. They just still do not know how to close it out. They started the comeback and it failed. They played a game of giveaway. This was a tough one, but it was an overall top to bottom organizational letdown.
Compelling content here, David, for our video audience as I make my way down to Kennedy on the way home from Soldier Field and trying to wrap my brain around what that was today, right? Loss number 5 in 6 games this season for the Bears. And honestly, in my opinion, it's a situation where things have become exponentially more complicated now for the Bears, given their quarterback situation, and obviously significantly more bleak with Justin Fields out and the Bears left to kind of try to figure out how to patch things together, either short or long term, with Tyson Bagent. And today was a step in the wrong direction in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I think we're just adding the visual for people that want to see that we're actually capable of talking about something heading in a direction, because this football team, we just can never tell what direction it's headed. So this is at least a clear visual. We're still headed in the right direction. Just keep your hands on the wheel.
Yeah, well, the symbolism here is like every 150 yards, I have to hammer on the brakes and then crawl for another, 250 yards. And it's very symbolic of what the Bears seem to be doing. Every time you get momentum like they had coming out of Washington, you hit a stop or a delay or a gaper's block or whatever it is. And it's just, it's just, walking out of that locker room at Soldier Field, David, there just was a fatigue, you just felt the fatigue in there of this is just so redundant and so repetitive. And obviously it's a different form of losing today because I thought the defense played pretty well, probably their best effort of the season. And then your quarterback gets hurt after struggling for 2.5 quarters. And the rookie, despite showing some flashes of poise and command and all those things, commits 2 terrible turnovers. One that goes for a fumble return touchdown and the other that goes for a lost ceiling interception on a one-on-one shot deep to DJ Moore.
So let's look at the news that came out of post-game. I guess it's vague, but we'll keep people updated on the latest in Justin Fields. So he left the game in the third quarter, about 10 minutes ago, I think, 8 minutes ago, left in the third quarter with a hand injury. He went into the locker room. It looks like there's been reports about his thumb. It's vague. The x-rays were negative. They'll have an MRI, and we'll wait and see. Dan, it doesn't bode well. You got a quarterback, and that's his throwing hand. Just looks like it could be a step in the wrong direction for his development and certainly his evaluation. Tyson Bagent comes in. We can talk about that. But Justin Fields did not play well before the injury, and certainly you don't want to have him leave any game or miss any time. But it wasn't a Bear offense that, after exploding for 40 points against the Commanders, that scoring 28 against the Broncos, it looked like they got lost again and not grasping the obvious, not executing, and just not getting the ball, getting it done, moving the ball.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned it, 68 points in the previous 2 games. Justin had thrown for 617 yards in those games against the Broncos and Commanders. And when he left the game in the third quarter today, he was 6 for 10 for 58 yards. The Bears had 40 net passing yards in the middle of the third quarter when he left the game. Even worse than that is the play that he left the game on was a sack he took holding the ball way too long and then not able to create space in the pocket when pressure caved in on him, and then being hit by Danielle Hunter, trying to get the ball out and then bracing his fall with kind of both hands and landing awkwardly on that right one. Obviously, I think the Bears are hopeful that because the x-ray is negative, the MRI will turn back similar encouraging news. But at the same time, David, I think you have to ask yourself some serious questions inside that building on whether this is an opportune time, if Justin is limited in any way with that hand, to take at least a 1-week look at what you have in Tyson Bagent. You're a 1-5 football team going nowhere, and you need to kind of figure out what your direction is at the most important position in the sport. And maybe this opens up a window for them to get a longer look at the rookie to see what he's capable of, because I think Justin today, showed a lot of people that the flashes that were evident against the Broncos and Commanders certainly didn't seem like they were signs of a significant breakthrough.
I want to say this about the Tyson Bagent debut. I think that I want to be consistent here. I loved the story in the preseason. I love the fact that he made the team. I've always maintained that was, to me, the accomplishment. That, to me, is where, if you want to take that script to a Hollywood, screenwriter, you could probably make that movie, because he comes from Shepherd University, a Division II program. He's undrafted, and he makes a NFL team as a rookie. Congrats. Dan, I don't think he had any business being asked to win that football game today. I think the Bears, what today happened was not necessarily it exposed Tyson Bagent's inexperience. I think it exposed the Bears' poor approach to roster building. You cannot put a guy that unqualified for a starting job in that position to ask you to win a football game. It's just not fair. And I think that moving forward, if they have to do that because of injury, okay. But to me, it further exposes Ryan Poles for not getting what every general manager should know you need: a dependable veteran, non-flashy backup quarterback that can finish a game and avoid crisis for the next 2 weeks. Bears don't have that, and today that was patently obvious.
Well, the irony of what you just mentioned, David, is that P.J. Walker, the player that was cut by the Chicago Bears in August, late August, early September, won a game against the best team in football, the San Francisco 49ers today. He wasn't great for the Browns, but as you mentioned, sometimes you just need a manager in that situation to just guide you through. That said, this season was never going anywhere for the Bears, and so I'm okay with them taking a longer look at the rookie and trying to figure out a way to position him to show you what he is.
Okay. First of all, thank you for breaking that news to me. I had a lot of stuff going on today, and I didn't really realize that P.J. Walker led the Browns over the 49ers. My goodness. All right. Yeah. The other thing is, Dan, I know what you mean, but that's not fair to DJ Moore. That's not fair to Cole Kmet. That's not fair to Darnell Mooney. That's not fair to just say, okay, this is a developmental year. We're gonna go at this in an unorthodox way as our quarterback depth chart. We're gonna get this kid that's a really, really fast learner, and really we like him. He's not Brock Purdy, and certainly the Bears are not the 49ers. So
that's the different part. It's he's not set up like Brock Purdy was set up to just have so many guardrails and so many advantageous flotation devices on his development. So yeah, you make a good point there.
I just think that, again, Tyson Bagent underthrew DJ Moore. That was the dagger. That was the interception. That was the interception they couldn't afford. Everything okay there, pal? All right, we're good. So, but when he did that, he was trying to make something happen because that's his instincts. They took over. When he did that, I think that nobody really thought he could make that throw except for maybe him. Those are the tough lessons a rookie quarterback he's going to have to learn. I just don't think that he needed to be in a position, and he didn't deserve to be in that spot at this time in his career. There we go. Dan is we're making the best of this. There we go. We're all set.
I said understandable, David. That for me, you felt the energy rising in that building. The Bears score a touchdown. They get themselves some life. They're down 19-13, and they've got a chance now to get the ball back and go down for a game-winning score. Tyson Bagent leads them across midfield. Deontay Foreman's starting to pick up steam. And you've got first down from the Vikings 35-yard line. And now all of a sudden, sitting in that building, you've got the license to imagine, what happens if this dude pulls this off here and changes the entire storyline in this new heartening chapter to his underdog story. And then on one-on-one, he's got DJ Moore up the left sideline against Byron Murphy Jr. He just severely underthrows the ball. I need to go back and watch it a second and third time and figure out why that ball was so severely underthrown, because there was a matchup there to take advantage of and at least give your best player a chance to make a play with the game on the line, and then the ball was underthrown.
It also might have been because the last throw that this guy made in a game that meant anything was against the Colorado School of Mines. I mean, he just isn't ready for this challenge, and that's not being disrespectful as much as it's just speaking from experience. It'd have to be a Hollywood script for Tyson Bagent to come in there. And you're right. There was a little bit of hope there at the end. You thought, okay, this is possible. But then they were in that position. You can't blame strip sack fumbles on the quarterback, but ball security is a priority. And 3 snaps into his NFL role as a starter, he succumbed to a strip sack fumble. So you got to eliminate those things. And I just didn't have a high degree of confidence. I like the kid. I love the story. I'm a proud member of I'm a full-time proud member of the Bagency.
You're the founder, I think.
I think I might have founded it. But you know what? I like to protect my people. And if he's one of my people, I'm like, keep him out of harm's way. He's not ready for this yet. He just isn't.
Yeah, and I guess we'll see, right? Like, so now we wait, right? Now we wait for more news on Justin Fields' hand. We wait to see the severity of what the injury is. We wait to see how limited he is with his ability to grip the ball. Matt Eberflus said that Justin wanted to get back in the game today and just couldn't hold the football in a way that would allow him to throw it, which is obviously a very important thing for a quarterback. The other part of the story today, though, is how much that offense struggled for the first 2.5 quarters.
Right.
Injury or no injury, Justin Fields faced a lot of zone. He faced a lot of pressure from Brian Flores, which we talked about in our preview podcast was going to come, and he didn't handle it well. He was sacked 4 times. Again, they had 40 net passing yards midway through the third quarter. It was way too familiar from what we had seen from this inconsistent passing offense, and they just never got going. Their groove for October became a major rut, and they were unable to get out of it, and even when they had to turn to the backup, they just didn't have the answers.
Luke Getsy disappointed me today. I mean, there's a long list of people who were disappointing, but on 3rd and 7, he runs. On 3rd and 2, he passes. You know, offensive coordinators who throw when they should run and run when they should throw, I think they're trying to prove they're the smartest guys in the room. Bad idea today. Luke Getsy, to me, was a bit of a letdown because I just don't know, obviously, until you watch the tape again, but it just didn't seem like they grasped the obvious at times. They weren't executing at a high level. And oh, by the way, memo to Luke Getsy, DJ Moore was the NFC Offensive Player of the Week. I understand that Brian Flores is a genius. Give him credit, but at least throw him the football in the first half more than one time. That's unforgivable. How does that happen?
Well, look, like that's something that I need to look at in the rewatch and figure out how many opportunities might have been drawn up for DJ Moore that weren't thrown there. I think Tyson Bagent threw DJ Moore 6 times. Justin only got it out there 2 times, a 7-yard completion, and then he was unable to hit him on another play. And so, look, like you come off a 230-yard performance. We talked about it. Opposing defenses are going to devote a significant amount of attention your way. Now you've got to make them pay in other ways, and you obviously have to find a way to make them pay that way as well. And they didn't get it done. When you talk about running on 3rd and 7, I think one of the things you're worried about is a quarterback who's not handling pressure well, and you worry about him throwing a drive-killing interception, which then happens on 3rd and 2 when you decide to throw the ball, and he gets hit with pressure coming from Daniil Hunter and Deontay Foreman not holding up in his block. You had 6 on 6. The Vikings sent 6 rushers on that play, and you wound up with their best pass rusher matched up against your running back, and all of a sudden your quarterback gets hit, the ball flutters in the air, and it's intercepted. These are the types of mistakes and the types of errors that continue to happen to this team, to this offense, to this quarterback, and the body of evidence is just, it's getting so big now to kind of allow us to see what happened against the Broncos and Commanders for what it was, which is a bit of an outlier.
Okay, don't want to be here all night, so we're going to bring in Studs for his fan reaction, not to reduce it to just that, Adam, but we know Meatball and Stadzinski. Is that what we're doing here? Or Stadzinski and Meatballs? Is that what
Stadzinski and Meatballs? Is that? That's what Rosie called it. Yeah.
All right. What's your quick assessment of what you watched and how you endured it?
I mean, I think you guys have pretty much nailed all of it. And actually, you know, as far as enduring it, I mean, trust me, guys, I've seen a lot of bad Bears losses in my life. Something like this doesn't faze me that much anymore. No, it was disheartening, though. It was really disheartening. I mean, to see the offense regress so severely and seem so unprepared. I mean, how much did we talk in the last week about how Brian Flores brings the heat? They blitz more than any other team in the league, I think, right? So how are you so woefully unprepared to handle that offensively?
Thank you.
And then you guys, you know what, something you guys haven't even talked about. Does anyone on this team know how to shotgun snap?
Thank you very much for bringing that up.
What is going on here?
Well,
it is not that difficult. It's really not. It's literally the most basic thing on offense is to get the ball snapped. How do you not have anyone that can snap the ball properly?
Post-game, Matt Eberflus said that Lucas Patrick did not replace Cody Whitehair because of the problems with the snapping. I doubt that very seriously. I'm calling BS on that one. What do you think, Dan?
I don't know why you don't say it. Like, I just don't get it. You made a change at center for a very specific reason, and it's not because you wanted Lucas Patrick to be a more calming influence on your undrafted rookie quarterback. That made no sense to me. His inability to explain that in a way that was sensible. Look, like Cody Whitehair had a rough day today. Cody Whitehair is one of the few holdovers from their last playoff team. Eddie Jackson is another one. He left the game again, aggravating his foot injury. It's like every time they take a half step forward, they take 3 steps back. And those two guys are examples of it today, where it's just like, my God, like how hard is it to create any sort of meaningful momentum? And those snaps were atrocious today. They were atrocious.
So what else, Studs? What else you got? You get any game balls you want to give out? We don't do that in losses anymore, do we?
No, we were not doing it until they won a game. I think we can do game balls today because the defense actually played pretty well today. So I'll just give my game ball to the entire defense for showing up, and they were facing an offense without their best player, but the defense kept them in the game all day. They kept it close enough. They only allowed 13 points while the defense was actually on the field, and they played well enough to win. So, and if we're going to be more specific, I think TJ Edwards actually played very well today. So my game ball goes to the defense, and more specifically TJ Edwards for a valiant effort, and they played well enough to win.
All right, I believe that. Anything else, Studs, before we let Dan kind of get in the right lane?
Do we want to do 3-word reviews now, or do we want to do them when we regroup tomorrow?
You want to do them tomorrow? Would that be easier?
Let's do them tomorrow.
Yeah, I think that would be better. The defensive call is a good one. Why did Eddie Jackson not come back, Dan? And that was kind of odd that he left and did not return. And Matt Eberflus said he could if they needed him.
Again, phraseology, right? Matt Eberflus says if we had needed him, Eddie could have come. What do you mean if you had needed him? Like
you needed him.
You're trying to win. Like that one made me scratch my head again. Like this team is 1-5 right now. Their home losing streak ticked up to 10. Their division losing streak ticked up to 11. That the Commanders win didn't get rid of all the demons that have plagued this team, and so here we are now again trying to figure it all out. And like one of the things I wrote in my column at ChicagoTribune.com is what can you point to at any level of this team or organization right now that is solid, that is firm and solid, and that you can count on. And I don't know that your list is going to take you any more than 18 seconds to rattle off.
And my column on 670thescore.com had a similar theme where basically I considered this an organizational loss, and thought it was fair to question the 3 most important roles in every football organization in the NFL. The general manager, what are you doing relying on a rookie and not having your depth chart more equipped with experience and stability? Number 2, the head coach. Really? It's your staff, and you're going to throw one pass to the NFC Offensive Player of the Week in the first half and then have really kind of wishy-washy explanations post-game. And then number 3, the quarterback position itself. Justin Fields getting injured through no fault of his own still reveals the fact that, he is possibly either injury-prone or prone to bad luck. Either way, the evaluation of Justin Fields in year 3 has been interrupted, and I think it might be indefinitely. We're not doctors. We don't know about the severity, but that would be the worst case scenario. So this, to me, Dan, was a return to more of what we're used to seeing at Haugh or at Soldier Field. That the Bears unable to get out of their own way, and it felt like a referendum on all that. Can the Bears get out of this hole they dug for themselves? Yes or no? Today, a resounding no.
Right. Well, and I guess I would ask you this question. If you were sitting upstairs at Haugh Hall and you were left to try to figure out what do we do for week 7 against the Raiders, and you know that Justin Fields' hand is not going to be 100% healthy, do you take that as an opening and an opportunity to try to get a look at Tyson Bagent next week? Or do you want Justin Fields back at all costs and full steam ahead because you're still trying to get him to compile as much evidence as humanly possible on his all-important franchise quarterback test?
I'm inviting every veteran quarterback who has experience and can get to Chicago by noon to Haugh Hall for a tryout. I am seeing how many doctors I can get opinions from to say Justin Fields can return in 2 to 4 weeks if it's something that's going to keep him out for longer than 2 to 4 days. I am going to do everything within my power to stop the bleeding, stop the leaks, and get a quarterback that can function in my offense. I am all in my offense. I like Tyson Bagent, but I'm going to say this probably all week. People will get tired of hearing that. I don't know that he's equipped for the enormity of the challenge that might be in front of him. And today didn't remove the doubts that I had. Today only confirmed them. He had some nice moments, but Dan, let's be honest here. Some of the mechanics were a little bit not 100% what you want, and he didn't protect the football. I don't think he was put in a fair situation, and I think they need to do everything in their power to make sure it doesn't happen again, unless they absolutely positively have to do it.
Yeah, it's going to set up for a compelling week. I know there were some writers on the elevator on their way down to the post game talking about, like, is there ever going to be a week for this team that it just feels like it's calm and that there isn't some sort of giant uppercut that they're trying to either avoid or absorb?
Hold on. Let me check. Yeah, I think I got that week. January 12th.
It's a long way off.
I'm just saying. All right. I'm glad you're home. Welcome home.
No, not quite yet. I'm in the parking lot of a church right now. I just figured I would stop now that I'm off the highway and prevent myself from.
Can you go light a candle for Tyson Bagent, please?
There's going to be, if you go back and watch the film of this, you're going to see that moment where my camera tumbled off the dashboard and I made a one-handed grab. It was pretty impressive. And
that was great.
My right hand is still in really good shape. I'm sure that the Illinois Highway Patrol is going to be very pleased with how this whole thing went and look for.
So if we don't have a pod on Tuesday mornings because Dan's in custody, but we typically will drop on as normal this week. And this is our post-game pod. So for Adam Stadzinski, for Dan Wiederer auditioning for next summer's NASCAR race in Chicago, I'm David Haugh for the Mully and Haugh Show. We will talk to you on Tuesday morning. Thanks for listening to the Take the Road.
I'm going to go put in an application at this church. I don't know what jobs they've got available, but I'm going to see what duties they need done, and maybe I can fill in.
Hallelujah. We'll see you next time.